Hi there, this is Dennis Velco with OutBüro. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of OutBüro Voices, where we have engaging conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, community leaders from around the world, and great allies. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Lisa Geason-Bauer. She is in Wisconsin. Not far between Madison and where was that again? I tried to do it.
Milwaukee.
Okay, well, Milwaukee. You know what? She lives in a town where I just was not going to attempt saying that today because I've only had one cup of coffee. Well, welcome to the show, Lisa. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us here.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm so happy to be here. So technically I live in Neshota, which is halfway between Madison and Milwaukee.
Okay, Neshota. Got it. Well, Lisa, we had a really great conversation. We actually went almost twice as long as we normally do. So we were really having a great conversation and thought you'd be a great guest because you have such a wealth of information. But before we do jump into all of that, let's get a little bit of background on you, kind of a little bit of your career journey and then how you got to where you are today.
Sounds great. Well, so for the record, I own a business called Evolution Marketing, but I do not have a business background. I am a sociologist by training. So as a social scientist, operating in this way for over 20 years. I'm not going to say how old I am, but graduated in the 90s from undergrad. So we'll leave it there. I really thought that it was important to take the skills I learned as a sociologist and put them in action in real life. So I started what's called Evolution Marketing, an environmental marketing, communications, and sustainability consulting firm. So what that means is that I take the specialized knowledge I learned as a sociologist and a sociologist who actually worked in the field of sustainability, and I help clients in Wisconsin and throughout the United States to implement really cool, innovative sustainability actions, practices, protocols within their business. And one of the ways that I kind of intersect with the world and how it's changing right now is that we really work at the intersection of corporate social responsibility, employee engagement, which I know a lot of the speakers you have on the show talk about employee engagement and how to recruit for inclusivity. So it's kind of, we work at that really cool intersection of all of these things coming together. And then the Marcom background, we kind of hit the ball out of the park, and that will help our clients to implement a plan to help them address workforce issues or challenges. And then once they're doing that through the adoption of sustainability practices, we take that and then we communicate it and help them to communicate to their public. So it's kind of a really cool, innovative space that I'm working in. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Wow. Quite a bit. In our first conversation, you talked about it there, and of course, a quick kind of overview. And you talk about sustainability, but then employee engagement. And so kind of share a little bit more detail about how that goes together. Because whenever I think of sustainability, I don't think of equality, equal rights and so forth within the workplace necessarily. So could you kind of explain for my audience as to how those kind of fit together within the practice area that you do?
Excellent question, Dennis. And actually what you're thinking, and a lot of people would be in the same boat as you are. Most people don't view equity issues, diversity and inclusion. They don't view that as part of sustainability, but they haven't been trained in sustainability. So let's do some education. The way I define sustainability, this comes from the United Nations, from 1987, when they kind of came up with a definition. It's kind of like the first definition out there for sustainability. And what it means is that, how it's defined is that we strive to meet today's needs without sacrificing future generations' resources. Okay, so it's all about resource scarcity, meaning we want to meet today's needs, but not deplete all of the natural resources that exist so that future generations have the same ability to be successful. Well, kind of a more up-to-date definition is At its essence, sustainability means ensuring prosperity and environmental protection without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And the way we do that is by what I'm calling the triple bottom line, or some people call it the three pillars of sustainability, or as one of my friends likes to say, the three legs on the stool of sustainability. And so what those three legs for the stool are environmental sustainability, which is what most people think about when you think about sustainability, which would be energy conservation, renewable energy, things of that nature. The second one would be economic viability, which is, again, making sure that your business or your organization is sustaining itself financially year over year. And then the third is what I call social sustainability. And that's kind of my area of expertise as a sociologist. And that's one of the things that I learned about both in undergrad and graduate school, is that there's this huge definition of social sustainability. And social sustainability really takes into account how you treat your people, I mean your workforce, how you treat your suppliers, how you treat the folks in your community, how you treat your customers. So it's this whole people side. So we like to say people, planet, and profit are the three P's for sustainability. And so that's where I work. And to me, it's one big umbrella, right? Because I'm taking a holistic perspective. We can't talk about people without also talking about the environment. It's all interconnected together. And we certainly cannot talk about creating diversity and equity within a business if we're not talking about the economic side of it, right? Making sure that we're paying a living wage, we're providing benefits for all of our workforce. Those are all kind of intertwined and connected together. So the work I'm doing is at this really cool intersectional space between, like I said, sustainability, kind of corporate social responsibility, and then HR and communications.
Okay, very, very interesting. And one that I'd like to just kind of throw in and share there is that, and I've mentioned numerous times throughout the episodes, is there's study after study shows that when a company is focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, they can benefit upwards of 30% in productivity and income. And so it's also a bit of paying attention to how doing the right thing first and foremost also has a potential financial benefit to it. So that's, which is also goes back to sustaining the business on the economic side of things. So you can actually improve your financial outlook while doing the right thing, creating an equitable environment. Happy employees lead to happy customers, leads to more business. So really like that. And yeah, I appreciate that little bit more of a detail explanation. I think that's helped me kind of get it clear in my head. And so with your company and yourself, you're also involved in a lot of sustainability organizations and issues in Wisconsin, but yet go kind of further beyond as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. And you mentioned, reminded me earlier before we jumped on that there's an event coming up that's open to everyone. Why don't we go ahead and share about that? And that can lead into organizations that you're part of.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dennis. So yes, I'm very involved in sustainability organizations in Wisconsin and nationally. And I say that because sustainability as a discipline is really new. The first jobs created in sustainability were in 2005. So, I mean, we're talking about a discipline that's only 15 years old. And because I've been working in this space publicly for the last 15 years, I've been part of a lot of organizations who started kind of when sustainability became what I'm going to call mainstream. It came out into the public. So one of those organizations that I work with is called the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council, and I'm actually one of their advisory board members. And several years ago, in 2014, one of my friends and I, co-created an entity called Wisconsin Women in Sustainability. It's a subset of our Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. And the goal was to recruit more women to our Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council board. So I was one of the first couple women on the board. This is now my 9th year. So I've been involved for a very long time and really helping to grow this movement in Wisconsin. And what we were seeing when I first started in this space, a lot of the individuals working in sustainability were men who were engineers or operations folks or attorneys in their companies. And that company never had a sustainability person. So those engineers or those people working the spaces where sustainability happened, they actually created for themselves a sustainability job. So they were the first sustainability managers, then directors at companies like Rockwell Automation or Johnson Controls. I mean, really big companies, Kohler, all those companies, the first sustainability people came from internal. Well, what's happened is now that we have many universities offering degrees in sustainability, we're seeing a lot of women working in this field, going to college, getting degrees in sustainability, and then coming into the profession. And so what we didn't have is we didn't have a way for those women to interact and to come together, because it had traditionally been male dominated. Because again, many of the folks working in this field also come from the green building sector, which is also predominantly male dominated. So we created this group, and for the last 4 years, we've hosted an International Women's Day event in partnership with the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council, My Business Evolution Marketing, and then the United States Green Building Council Wisconsin chapter. And the program has been amazing. We've had over, I believe, 350 women who have attended over the last 4 years. And this year's program, so historically, our program has covered diversity within this space. And so we always had women from different generations, from different racial and economic backgrounds, as far as business owners and nonprofit sectors, talking about their work they're doing and how they've helped to create sustainability and build resilient communities in Wisconsin. Well, this year, because of everything that happened in 2020, and our date, the first day of our program is on March the 7th, 2020. I lied, March 8th. Oops, March 8th, 2021 is the first day. The second day is March 9th, and the third day is March 16th. And because of everything that happened this last year, normally we would have this event in person, but because of COVID, we're doing it all virtually. And so this year, what we're going to do is we're breaking the half-day workshop down into 3 different days. And the first day, we're going to have 2 ladies who are amazing. They're both colleagues. They're both just dynamos. And they're going to talk about social sustainability. And so what we're doing is we're kind of taking our event to the next level. And what's really this year, it's all about empowering the female changemakers in the green building and sustainability sector to empower themselves as leaders so that they can take back what they're learning to their companies to make positive change happen. Because I mean, it's needed. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about the speakers?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so the first day, we're going to have Maria Nicholas Groves. She's actually she lives down the street from me. She's amazing. She is a female entrepreneur, and she owns her own company, and her company is called Talent Growth Partners. So she actually she works in the HR profession, and she works with companies and helps them define qualified candidates. And then our second speaker is Michelle Turner, who is finishing up her PhD at UW-Madison in social work. And she started a company called Build a Business Consulting. She'll be finishing her PhD up, I believe, by the end of this year. So she was working on her dissertation the last time I talked to her in December. And the two of them are really going to take and unpack the topic of the intersectionality of sexism, tips and tools, and the opportunity to build a more inclusive workforce. So they're going to unpack this topic over an hour and a half time period, and then they're going to provide tools for the attendees to go back to their companies to make these changes happen. And then the second day, so the first day is kind of setting the stage. Why is this important? How do we empower you? The second day it starts with us supporting women leaders. And we're going to have Christina Bernardo Kullberg, who is the executive director of Nzingo U. She's out of California, and Nzingo U is a certified B Corporation, just like my business. And Christina is going to do a workshop on building women leaders from the inside out, which I think is also very important coming off of COVID and coming off of just the amount of challenges we as a society have faced in the last year. So Christina is going to do a really great job of just unpacking a lot of confidence issues, concerns, how we internalize misogyny, topics like that to help empower, again, women to be happy with themselves, to feel better about themselves so they are more successful when they're implementing leadership changes within their organization. And then on the third day, we're going to do what's called mentorship circles, and this will be on March the 16th. And so we're going to have each of the speakers do a breakout room in Zoom. And so the the attendees can come in and talk specifically with each of the speakers about these key topics. So Maria Groves Nicholas is going to be covering human resources and organizational culture change. Michelle Turner will be covering gender equity and then the intersectionality of racism, sexism, and LGBTQ plus rights, which is great. Christina will be covering global female culture and the JEDI, so justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion at work. Because of the work she's doing, she's working with organizations nationally and internationally. And then myself and Corinne Hafel from the United States Green Building Council will be covering the social side of sustainability and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the equity pillar within the United States Green Building Council perspective. So it's going to be a great learning experience. It's all free. So it's free, open to everyone to attend. It's over lunchtime. So the first 2 days are 11 to 1 o'clock. And then the third day is kind of after work. It's a 4 to 5:30 p.m.
Okay. Wow. It does sound like a really great conference, and be able to now have that open due to COVID, where we're all meeting on Zoom. That's one of the kind of, a few times I've talked with folks who have done a lot of conferences and summits and so forth in the past, and that it's one of the, I guess, a benefit that this kind of have forced is like Matt Scullerud, he was saying how, am I going to now get excited about getting booked for a conference where I'm going to go and speak with possibly 50 people in a room, or am I going to be moving forward, maintaining this model where I have an opportunity to speak to 500 people and I don't have to travel? So, it's nice. And I like that you've broken it up over the next couple of days, because, boy, no one wants to sit on their computer for 6 to 8 hours a day on Zoom. So, but it sounds like a really great conference. So that's happening this year. And, folks, if you are viewing this at some other time, no problem. Go. We'll have links in the show notes. So go down, click on, and then just get on their, newsletter, email list, and so forth, so that you're informed, because this is an annual event. Just out of curiosity, because you are doing this virtually, will you guys also have recordings that might be available after that day?
That's a great question. I believe we will. I just don't know what platform we're going to be using. So I say that because the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council, we got a new platform this last year for our first virtual conference we did this past December. And so we are, when I say we, Corinne, Jesse's from the United States Green. Sorry, Jessie is from the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. She's our managing director, and Corinne is at USGBC. So we have to determine which platform we're going to use. But I believe that's something we've talked about, is having a recording of this and being able to share after the fact. I just don't know what that looks like. If it'll be a full video. Yeah,
the full logistics understood. That would be awesome if that would be still available, because that would help live out there. And if it is on YouTube, which is pretty easy to use, being able to have people see that and at any time, and no matter where they are, they could be in a totally another country. So that would be awesome. Well, you also mentioned B Corp. And, when we were talking, I shared with you kind of the first time I really became kind of aware of a B Corp is, I probably have heard it, but I was on a website. It's actually OutLeaders, which is, they help corporations with LGBT inclusivity at the board level. Mm-hmm. And I saw the B Corp logo on their website. And so I actually clicked through to that and then started investigating it a little bit. And so it might not be a term that a lot of our audience is aware of. Could you give us a little bit of information about what is a B Corp? And then we'll kind of move on from there.
I would love to. So B Corps, okay, there's There's two things you should know. First of all, there's what's called a certified B Corporation, which is what Evolution Marketing is. And I believe the company that you're talking about, they're certified B Corporation. And then there's an organizational structure that's called a benefit corporation structure. So for example, I have a client that's in California that's organized as a benefit corporation, meaning that their literal organizational structure in the state is benefit corporation. So that means they could be a C Corp, they could be an S Corp, they could be an LLC or an LLP, but they chose to be a benefit corporation. Okay, so that's an organizational level, and that happens at every state. Not every state has passed legislation to allow this, but I believe it's over 30 states have. Whereas certified B Corp is when a third party actually does an audit of our entire business operations. And that third party is the nonprofit B Lab, who actually also happens to have a sociologist on staff, which makes me so excited because that means that for B Lab to become a certified B Corp, a lot of these issues that we're talking about are part and parcel to your certification process. So your business has to actually be engaging in and addressing climate change, gender equity, diversity, all of the things we're talking about. You have to be doing those things in order to be a certified B Corp. So I'm going to read you a little piece of information from the B Corp website, because I think this does a really good job of kind of highlighting what it means or why it's important. So certified B corporations are businesses that meet the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. B Corps are accelerating a global cultural shift to redefine success in business and build a more inclusive and sustainable economy. Society's most challenging problems cannot be solved by governments and nonprofits alone. We all know this, right? The B Corp community works towards reducing inequality, lower levels of poverty, a healthier environment, stronger communities, and the creation of more high-quality jobs with dignity and purpose. By harnessing the power of business, B Corps use profit and growth as a measure to a greater end, meaning positive impact for their employees, communities, and the environment. So there are about 3,700 of us certified B Corps in the entire world. In Wisconsin, we have 15.
Okay, yes, because this is a new, fairly new format and fairly, new thing, and that kind of gets me into, you are aware of again, free resources that people can, start to learn about and, maybe start going down that path. You share a little bit of information about that, and then we'll have links in our show notes as well.
Wonderful. So there's a couple of resources I'd like to share. The first one is through the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. So it's wisconsinsustainability.com is the website. And we created a program 12 years ago now. I kind of lose track because I've been involved with it since the beginning. We created a program that's called the Green Masters Program, and it's a free program, and it's an on-ramp into sustainability. So if you own a company or you're an executive in a company who wants to do more with sustainability, you're not sure where to begin, go look at the Green Masters program. You can download a copy of it. It opens every year in March. You can download a copy of all the questions and go through and use that to start off your conversations with your staff. Or if you want to start a green team in your company, you can use the questions there to help your green team choose actions that you can take. If your business is in Wisconsin, you can apply to the Green Masters program, and it's free if this is the first time you're applying, or if you're a returning company, like my company. We've been a master company now for 6 years. When we have to just reapply before September, and it's free for us to do that. If you're in a different state, at some point in the future, we hope to have this program available to you. But what you can do now, though, is you can download all of the questions, and you can use the questions as a guide. Okay, so that's just a really nice thing. I have several colleagues throughout the United States who use the Green Masters program every year as their own internal benchmarking tool. So they just go through, they download it, they answer all the questions, and they see how they change, and then they can measure the things they're doing based year over year. So that's a nice free tool, starts you to think about sustainability. And then if your business is already engaged in sustainability and you're doing a lot of really great stuff within the social and environmental space, and you want to become a certified B Corp, then you can go to B Lab, and we'll have a link there. And at B Lab, it's called the B Impact Assessment. That is also free. So you can go into the B Impact Assessment, and there's 5 areas inside of it, and you can start to answer questions about your business within each of the areas. In order to qualify as a certified B Corp, you have to fill out the B Impact Assessment and make sure that you've hit over 80 points. Meaning that you have to, all the things that they're asking, you have to do enough of those things to qualify to become a certified B Corp. And then you would go and you would change your organizational structure. So for example, my business is a limited liability company. When we became a certified B Corp 3 years ago now, we changed our articles of incorporation to include language that talked about how if I were ever to sell Evolution Marketing, the business would stay as a certified B Corp with this triple bottom line value system. So it couldn't be undone. Okay. And then you pay a fee to become a certified B Corp, and then you get audited by B Labs. Okay. So, and if you're interested, one of the things that Evolution Marketing does is we help companies become certified B Corps. But I have to say, you can aspire to become a certified B Corp, but it takes a bit of time, and it's kind of an arduous process. I don't want to dissuade anyone, but if you're not sure where to begin, start with the Green Masters program. You download it. It's a perfect, amazing tool kind of start you on the conversation and start you on that road to sustainability. And once you've been doing that for a couple of years and you've got data that you're tracking, then walk into, apply to become a certified B Corp, because it does take time. And I've worked with many clients that started on the journey to become a certified B Corp 3 or 4 years ago. And then when they brought me in, it still took another year or two for them to become certified. It takes time because it covers the full business. So what's interesting is that, I don't know if you know this, but there are over 3,500 certifications in the sustainability field. 3,500. That's a lot, right?
That is a lot.
Crazy. So all of those different certifications, they're always about one piece of sustainability. So it could be, is my product organic certified, or is my product fair trade certified? It's one piece of it. Well, the B Corp certification is the whole enchilada. Okay. So it is all of your systems, your processes, every product or service you sell, those certifications, every building you're located in. It's all of it. It's your governance structure. So it's a super holistic approach, which is also why it's a bit more arduous to complete because it takes more time. Okay. And then I brought a show and tell item with me. So one of my clients is Rebel Green. They're a woman-owned green cleaning product company maker in Milwaukee. And I work with them to become a certified B Corp. And so you can see, here's the B Corp logo on their product.
Okay.
Well, I know. Awesome. Show and tell is fun.
Yes. You were sharing a little bit of information about them when we last spoke. How it was comparing that to Greenwise, or was it you compared it to another company? I forget.
Oh, seventh generation. Because Yes, because Rebel, and so seventh generation is a certified B Corp as well. Rebel Green also has a organic laundry detergent. I don't have a sample of that because it's a pretty big bottle, but I do have their hand soap here. But anyway, Rebel Green and seventh generation both came out about the same time with organic detergents, and they were some of the first on the market to have organic laundry detergent. And I don't remember how many years ago it was, if it was 5 or 6 years ago, but that's just one example of how B Corps are really pushing for better quality ingredients so you have better products, right? And I brought this hand soap because it's really cool. They have this thing called buy a bottle, plant a tree. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And so what that means, and just talking about the certifications, to me, this is really important because there are so many of them. The Buy a Bottle, Plant a Tree program, they're part of an organization, it's a nonprofit organization. It's called trees.org. And literally every time a bottle is bought, a tree gets planted. And Rebel Green shares that information with trees.org, and the trees.org has a running total of all the trees that have been planted. And when I was talking with one of the co-owners not too long ago, she said that she knew that they had planted at least 10,000 trees. And I think they joined this program 2 years ago. So, I mean, how cool is that? But the point is that it's all being tracked. So if they say they're doing this, they're actually doing it. And there's a third party, trees.org, that's verifying that they're doing this. Does that make sense? So that's when we talk about transparency. those third-party certifications are all about transparency and making sure that you're doing the things you say you're doing. Because a lot of times people make claims, but those claims aren't accurate or they're not transparent. And the days that we're living in, I mean, we're in the world of uber transparency right now. So if you make a statement, you better be able to back it up.
Very good. I really like that. And yes, we were sharing when we last spoke kind of about the process getting, to the B Corp thing. It's like, I guess it's, downloading those guides and getting started, no matter whatever that you start on. I think it's just important for anyone out there to do it. For example, if you have coffee mugs and so forth, the smug, kitchenettes, switching the dish detergent out to an organic biodegradable, version. If you run a bed and breakfast, switching the detergents, it's just little things can add up, and it starts you down the path. It's kind of like going to the gym and starting to go to the gym and eat healthy, right? If you try to go all gangbusters, guess what? In about 2 months, you're not going to go back, right? But it's about, even in your own personal life, taking those small steps to where that becomes habit and just becomes part of what you're doing, because it does sound like a lot. But if you take your time and get it done and down right, then all of a sudden it's just going to be just what you do.
You're exactly right. And that's Dennis, you did a great job articulating that. I mean, I think that's the biggest barrier to people engaging in sustainability is they're scared that they're not going to do it right because they feel so much pressure to do it perfectly. And the reality is there's no such thing as perfection in sustainability. We're all trying every day to be better. At least this is how I think as somebody engaged in sustainability. I'm looking at continuous improvement. How can I improve this year over last year? How could I make better decisions with my business? How can I use less energy? I drive an electric car, so my car runs on renewable energy, which is amazing. So I'm not using gas. By the way, we now are back in the Paris Climate Accord. So businesses at some point in the near future are going to need to start to think about and talk about their carbon footprints. So I know one of the links you're going to put in will be the Evolution Marketing Carbon Footprint, which kind of highlights the different actions we're taking. And I think it's really important because small businesses can make a big difference too. You don't have to be a Fortune 50 company to engage in sustainability or to address climate change. You can be a small business and do the same things, So you're exactly right. One step at a time, it keeps building. And it's all about those baby actions that lead to big change, big culture change and big change within your own behaviors.
Oh, absolutely. And being a small business, if you're a company of 1 or a company of 10, it's probably, I would think, a bit easier than being a large, Fortune 100 level company, because this gets down to their buildings and the energy and their waste and so forth, and that's a huge task when you're looking at a company of 100,000 employees, perhaps, versus a small business being able to make those small changes in your business life and your personal life, and also feel the personal satisfaction and being able to network with great people such as yourself in the B Corp and sustainable community. So, wonderful. Well, this has been a chock full of information session here. So is there any other thing you'd like to share before I let you go for the day?
Yes, one other thing, because of course, I'm really into certifications. There's this program, it's called 1% for the Planet. And I don't know, are you familiar with it, Dennis? Did I tell you about it before?
No, I don't think I've heard of that.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I'm very excited about it. We're also Evolution Marketing as a certified B Corp, and we're part of the 1% for the Planet family. And what that means is that every year we donate at least 1% of our total sales back to environmental nonprofits. Now, you think that's not a lot of money, right? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 1% of your sales isn't a lot of money, and it's really not. But why is this so important? Because the majority of money going to nonprofits doesn't go to environmental nonprofits. So that's why this organization was created several years ago. And I'm just really excited that We've been a member of this since 2016. This is our fifth year is a part of the organization. And every year there's more and more businesses, and now they have what's called an individual member. So you as an individual can join 1% for the planet and give 1% of your earnings to nonprofit environmental organizations. I just think it's such a great way for people to give back, and it's something that's doable, right? We're talking about doability of sustainability. This is something a business can do. You can budget for it, and it can be part of how you operate. And you're empowering the organizations that are doing this good work. So, for example, we work with the United States Green Building Council, as I said, and the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. They're both 1% for the planet nonprofits. So any donations that I give to them and or time I volunteer each year to those entities counts towards my 1% contribution for evolution marketing. So it's a really cool kind of partnership opportunity or way to coordinate with others, that are making change happen. So I think it's something to consider for everyone. Consider joining 1% for the planet.
Awesome. I've been having, in some of my conversations, we've been talking about, how the LGBT community, this is not a blanket statement, folks. So, but, people really, feel isolated, and then they're really needing to go beyond and do more, get more involved in the community as a whole, and not just the LGBT community, but going outside of the, your little LGBT community and getting involved with your community's, sustainability programs, your parks, your, rec centers, just doing something more than just staying in a isolated, kind of LGBT bubble and everything LGBT, to be a whole person, really need balance in your life and go and to do with other things. So I think this is a great opportunity, an idea for people to look at that. It's if you have the if you have the ability to look at supporting organizations. I love how transparent these organizations are. There's been talk in the past of nonprofit organizations taking all kinds of funds, and CEOs earning $500,000 a year and so forth, and it's like, whoa. It's like, I don't want to donate to an organization and think that that's basically just supporting someone's annual vacation, right? So really like that the 1% organization that you mentioned there. Because can also be a little difficult sometimes because of some of that negative information in the past, to feel that that if you make a choice to donate to a particular, nonprofit, that, is this the right nonprofit, where perhaps that, balances out based on needs. So it's more of a one pool.
So, okay, what's really cool about 1%, when you join as a business, you get a like a helper. You get a coordinator that works with you, that works with the goals of your business. So if you say to me, I really want to address plastic waste, there are nonprofits that are part of the program that have been vetted, that are legitimately addressing plastic waste. So 1% will connect you with that nonprofit entity. So they're helping businesses to make those good decisions and to have. You can go look on their website, and they list all of the nonprofit members, but you can't just be like, I want to be a nonprofit member. 1% for the planet actually looks at your organization. You have to be nominated by a company to be part of the program. So there's a vetting process that goes along with it. So you're not going to have any of those problems that we've heard about with previous other, not environmental, but other nonprofit entities, So I think that's really nice. They help you, and they help you make your plans to help you with your business. So you can invest your money then into organizations that are working on things that you care about. And there's a lot of social equity, environmental groups kind of working at that intersectionality space. So I think there are a lot of great opportunities for members of the LGBTQ business community to find opportunities.
Awesome. Really like all of that. Well, again, you have just packed all kinds of information in here. I'm going to have a really long show notes. Well, Lisa, I so much enjoyed our initial chat and having you here on the show today and providing all that great information for people. So I much appreciate it, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Dennis. And if people want to learn more, they can go to greenmkting.com. That's our website.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for staying tuned to this episode. Be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button on whichever app that you are listening or watching this to. Also, of course, jump on to OutBüro.com. It's free to join. Just create your profile, complete at least 30%, and that'll unlock all the features to connect with other members, join groups, direct messaging, and so forth. Thank you so much. I'm Dennis Velco. Bye-bye.